General,
Rick,
so good to see
good
you.
to see you.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
First and foremost, I have to say is that I have known the General a very long time. His niece, Sherry Carrera, is a great, great friend of mine. She's godmother to my daughter. So we have a great family connection there. And General, you were for an incredibly long time involved in our military and oversaw the National Guard for Rhode Island. So on behalf of everyone, thank you for all that you've done and for all your service.
Thank you for being a good citizen.
It's greatly appreciated.
And appreciate that.
Absolutely. So the General has a fondness for many things, and art and music are a couple of those things. So the General has been involved with the Scituate Art Festival for
Over 30 years.
over 30 years now, right?
It began in 1967, so we celebrated our 50th anniversary last year. Obviously, this year is our 51st, and it continues to grow and becomes one of the premier art festivals across the entire region.
So 51 years of celebrating art in Scituate, Rhode Island, which is one of Rhode Island's smallest communities, albeit absolutely one of the most beautiful communities in the state. But 51 years, I can't think, and I'd have to double check, but I can't think of anything that's been going on longer from a festival standpoint in the state.
You know, it started very small in the beginning. It was intended to have just a very small footprint to raise some money to take care of the North Scituate Congregational Church, which is right on the village green.
Right.
For years, it was in need of repair. So back in '67 or thereabouts, a few people which started the art festival determined that they needed some revenue source to be able to put more money into it, to make sure it didn't just turn out to be something that would deteriorate over the years. So it did start in '67, and it's been continuing to grow over the years. And I think it's important to realize that over the years too, many people look at the art festival as being the entire town. Well, it isn't. There's just a very small footprint of the actual art festival. And if you're familiar with the area on the village green, it's between the library and the funeral home up the road a little bit. And that area, in essence, is the art festival. All the tangential things you'll see from time to time are given licenses to operate by the town. And they become very much part of the entire flavor of the art festival.
To kind of make it grow outside the parameters that you normally have.
And it's it's certainly an economic boost to the town.
Absolutely.
Through the years, and we have well over thousands of people that visit between the 3 days. I think we've estimated from time to time we get anywhere between 60 to 80,000 people in a particular day, and over the 3 days, if the weather's really good, you can certainly exceed 300,000 people in those 3 days. And so it's quite an activity, and encourage everybody to come on out there.
So this, as the General mentions, the footprint of the actual festival is smaller itself. So where the art is done, the tents are done. But Scituate itself as a village has great restaurants, great shops, different things that are out there to support the community. And the next guest I have bringing will highlight a little bit more about that, because we're talking about the Village Tavern that is literally probably just at the start or the end, depending on how you look at it, of the festival grounds that you have there. And by the way, I have to, because Sherry is texting me, she said to say hi, Uncle Reg, and she's blowing you kisses. So you can say hi to Sherry.
Hi, Sherry. Love you.
So, General, tell us a little bit about the flavor of what's taking place in the festival. Obviously, we know that there's art that's in there, but there's an incredible entertainment lineup.
It is. You know,
the General oversees.
There's about 200 artists, between the artists who produce paintings as well as some photography and the crafts aspects of it. Well over 200. And each of these presenters are juried, which means we have a committee that determines whether in fact that is adequate, it's professional, and we're not going to diminish the outstanding professionalism of the art festival itself by letting someone come in that is somewhat substandard.
Gotcha.
And you can't go buy the same thing at some retail place and put it on display.
Right.
It has to be original. It has to be something that is of quality. And beyond that, we have antiques that come in. And they have their own area, and that too we look at to make sure that there's not a yard sale that somebody produced something for. So we look at the quality of everything that comes in, between the art, the craft, and as well as the antiques that come in. But apart and separate from that is the food court itself.
Right. Yeah.
And within that food court, we have near 11 nonprofit organizations, ranging from the Rotary Club, the Scituate Lions Club, the Boy Scouts, the Potterville Fire Department, and several others that produce food ranging from, in the case of the Lions, they have a tremendous sausage and pepper sandwich. I think it is probably
See, more sausage and peppers, you're not going to go wrong, see?
That's the best thing you can have. And they have meatball sandwiches. They have a breakfast of sausage and eggs too, as well as the meatball sandwiches that come out of the various stands. And Potterville Fire Department produces a tremendous apple dessert, if you will, to go with the coffee that
Yep.
they supply too. And you have numerous others between the Scituate Music Association and other organizations, all nonprofit, all volunteer, and for that matter, Rick, the entire festival is all volunteer.
Yeah.
No one is paid, and so there's a fee to get into it, obviously, to pay for
A vendor space, so to speak, yeah.
a vendor fee, and that money goes into an overall pot that
Manages
supplies,
the festival
yeah,
and runs it.
yeah. And we put money into bringing in water supply as well as electricity, and the town does put money into it, in the vicinity of about 10,000, supplying the police
Right.
and all of the other logistics that go into making sure the place is safe. And then each year, we have a program that goes out and we invite people to come in and apply for different grants. And I think over the past several years, there's been in excess of $30,000
Really?
that we put back into the community by people that apply for funds, and we give that money to them.
So the people that are applying for those funds that go back in the community, it stays in Scituate?
Well, basically, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it could be tangential, or maybe Foster or something.
Okay, but in that general
It's a
area,
general area.
that's why. So the general mentioned about the food purveyors, the people that are working on these, which is an incredibly different model, if you will, from a festival perspective. Is I've attended the Scituate Art Festival every year. Yes, I leave Federal Hill, I leave for a couple hours, and I go to Scituate. I have family from Scituate, and it's a beautiful event to attend. I can tell you, last year, Mike Bryce, who is an artist, I bought 3 pictures of waterfire that he's done that are hanging in my house, and he has this beautiful stand, and he's actually painting right there while he's selling some of these works of art. So Mike is a very talented artist. But going back to the food, is that it's sausage and peppers, but the people that are making it, it's a different tradition. And last year, I went to both the Lions Club and I went to the Boy Scouts, and the Boy Scouts were telling me they've been doing this forever, and it's one of the biggest things that they rely on from a financial standpoint for fundraising, is that it's a huge, huge benefit to them. So when you're going to the Scituate Art Festival, not only have the opportunity to see the antiques and the art, but you got to realize is that you are giving back as a whole to the community, both all the nonprofits that are in the food court, as well as, like the general just highlighted, these grants or scholarships, or whatever you want to call them, that are given out to the organizations locally. So it's a tremendous impact that you're having when you're attending this annual tradition. Now, the general left out, and we're going to bring up, we'll talk about the entertainment. So tell us about the entertainment schedule.
Well, that's the highlight.
That's the highlight, see?
Obviously, what I like to ensure is that it is not a music festival.
Right.
And we don't want to compete, certainly, with the artisans and craftsmen and other people there for the reason of appreciating art. But in the midst of all of this, you have to have some kind of presentation on music, because in my opinion, it is an art also.
Absolutely.
But we certainly don't compete with the artisans on the other side of the court.
Yeah.
But within that capability of producing live music, which is important to me, live music is absolutely essential. You know, you can bring a DJ out and you can bring somebody else that does digital music, and that's obviously not the same. So each year, I've been fortunate to be the chair of the entertainment committee, and we've had groups and entertainers ranging from obviously this year we're bringing back Tribeca. They got rained out last year.
That's right.
And they brought out Rednecks coming back this year. And one highlight that I'd like to certainly bring to attention is, you had mentioned the kids and youth in Scituate.
Yep.
And one of my desires is to be able to bring local kids back in to perform who have perhaps been out of school for a while and they maintain their musical acumen. Saturday afternoon, I'm giving a pitch to my son's band now.
Absolutely.
It's
Sure.
called
That's
No
wonderful.
Consensus, and his name is Jason, and certainly Sherry knows it, well, Jason.
It runs in the family is what we're figuring out here.
Exactly. So they'll be performing Saturday afternoon from 2 to 4.
Okay.
And it's a kind of a light rock kind of thing, and a little bit beyond that. We don't allow any heavy metal, and we don't do any rap.
Okay.
So those are the 2 areas that we
Kinda stay away from.
Kind of stay away from.
Now, when are you performing?
My band will be there Sunday afternoon from 2 to 4.
Okay.
On the morning of Saturday, we have Tribeca. The morning of Sunday, we'll have the Rhode Island Rednecks. And Monday morning, we'll have the Nightlife Orchestra, which is somewhat of the mainstay of the entertainment we
Right.
do from 10 to 1. Then we bring in the Scituate Chorus, and they sing from 11 to basically 11:45. Then we bring in the high school band at 1 o'clock, and then we go back to open mic to bring out the festival until 3 o'clock. So anybody that wants to come out to Scituate and want to come up on the stage and take the mic and present what you think you can present,
Really?
they can come out and do it.
That's excellent. So I got to back up just a little bit to one of the groups that he mentioned. So the Scituate Chorus, that's the high school chorus that comes out.
Mhm.
So Scituate High School has this music program, and I've learned this over the years of experience and relatives that are in Scituate, and it is top notch. These students that are coming out to sing, it's unbelievable. Like I think all these kids should be on The Voice or some of these other shows that are out there because they are just astronomical, and the instructors or teachers that they have must be amazing as well. Because hearing the Scituate chorus is, you're going to hear lots of other great entertainment with the General and others, but it's a very uplifting thing to hear these kids sing. They do a
It is,
tremendous
it is.
job.
You got, as many as 60 and 70 kids out there, all intending on producing what they feel is an art. And when you go in and you listen to them, you can really feel it. And of course, the thing that means the most to me is when the high school band plays the national anthem. Everyone at that place just stands up,
Right.
places their right hand over their heart, takes the hat off, and they have total respect for the flag. And in the many years that I've been there, I've never ever seen one time where even little kids were guided by their parents to say, pay attention, this is the
Right.
national anthem. And that's the kind of spirit you see in Scituate.
Right.
And I wish that were across the entire nation, because we certainly need it right about now.
I agree with you, General. So the General has, as you can see, a specific fondness for the art and entertainment, and he's performed all over the state. I've seen him in many different locations, many different festivals, and I'm hoping the next year we can steal him away from Scituate for a day and have him go to Federal Hill and entertain us, because it'd be fantastic to have you join us up on Federal Hill. So I think that's going to be my mission, to make that happen, to sneak him away from Scituate for a day next year. But you have some interesting news yourself of things coming up that you're going to be doing, right?
Yeah, we also have an outreach program to bring something beyond the 3-day festival out into the community.
Okay.
So this is the third year that we'll be doing it. We bring in the American Band, which is an organization out of URI, and they've been
Yeah.
around since the 1800s. Not the same musicians.
Not the same.
Some of them love it.
That would be scary.
But the band has been around, and they do this concert on the 10th of December, 2 p.m. at Scituate High School, open to the public, no cover. Come on in and enjoy just a wonderful concert produced by the American Band. And on the front end, I'm trying to get some kids from the school to produce some music for us too. And I have a couple of acts that are going to be coming in to do the Lord's Prayer, as an example, with Bocelli.
Nice.
And that will really go over fine. So the date is the 10th of December at 2 p.m., Scituate High School. And the Scituate Art Festival pays for some of that, and the town supplements it also.
So this is another thing that's benefited from the Scituate Art Festival.
Exactly. Yeah.
So this is December 10th, you said?
December 10th.
December 10th, and it takes place at the high school.
At the high school.
And it's free and open to the public.
Free, open to the public.
So all of the performers are local coming in?
No, the performance on the front end will be
Oh.
hopefully local performers, but
Okay.
the American Band comes
Is
out
the-
of
is the
URI.
mainstay that
and
comes
there
out
are
of
about
URI.
50 of those, and they're all professional musicians.
Right.
I want to just go back and have some connectivity to Anthony's
Sure.
that you had on earlier.
Absolutely. Yeah.
There's a kid named Ronnie Giorgio, and he's been singing with my band. So if you want to hear this kid, the kid's phenomenal. He does Frank Sinatra impersonations, and he really has it nailed. So he'll be on sometime in the afternoon of Sunday from 2 to 4. And he's been singing here and there with my band on occasion. So I want to give this kid a plug. And if you want to hear him, go down to Anthony's too. I think
That's
he's
right.
on there on Thursdays and Fridays, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right, that Anthony mentioned that.
Yeah. So this is one of those times where you get a 16-year-old kid, as is the case with him, playing along with someone who's my age, and 78, thereabouts, and you can understand that we can play the same music, have the same connectivity,
The
have the same
collaboration, yeah.
appreciation, and age has no
barrier,
distinction,
right.
yeah.
So I would be remiss, and before I close out with the generals, I just want to talk a little bit about these festivals as a whole and about the tragic things that we mentioned earlier that happened in Las Vegas. Is that you know, my opinion, and the general and I had the opportunity to talk about this before the show today, is my opinion is these festivals are tremendous traditions, tremendous importance to our communities, and from a perspective of going out and enjoying them, it should not hinder any of us from going. In general, I just wanted to kind of get your opinion, your on take, is that, you know, you've reviewed these things, being in the National Guard and serving as a general, and now, you know, being retired and as almost a full-time participant in producing some of these things and being a part of them.
It is.
You know,
Yeah.
So you wouldn't discourage anybody from in any way.
Absolutely not. You know, we've been unfortunately dealing with these things going way back to when they were hijacking airplanes, and then we started to come up with security positions for that. But the thing that really triggered where we are right now is 9/11. And from that point on, our insecurity continues to ramp up each and every time. And each and every time something happens, it's to some extent different than the previous time. This particular thing that just happened on Las Vegas, almost impossible to protect everyone there. So there's another side of security, and it has to do with what we have a responsibility to do. You can have a perimeter security, you can have all the security in the world around a venue, and a hotel in this particular case, and all it worked fine, except someone never thought the guy would be inside and hammer out a window and start shooting. So therein lies what can we do about that? Well, there's not an awful lot that you can do to protect everybody at the same time, but individually, we can do several things, and I would suggest that we subscribe to this. First and foremost, if you're in this environment, try not to be in the middle of a big crowd. Be on the periphery so you can make an exit. Know where your exits are to be able to get there ahead of someone else. Certainly, if you have the ability to take cover, you do that. If you know where the fire is coming from, certainly if you can't do that, then you need to play dead. And secondly, if you need to obviously flee, and you know where the exits would be. If those are missing, then there's not an awful lot you can do beyond that.
Right.
And the last and foremost is if you're in this close environment and you see someone doing something right next to you, you can't confront them.
Okay.
That's a pretty risky thing, but either you just subject yourself to being killed, or you try to help yourself.
So
There's several things.
And the tips are very important, and I know the general's been talking about this throughout the week, but from a comfort level position of knowing that keeping those things in your mind and keeping your awareness and your presence in mind is that these festivals and many other festivals around the country take the precautions to keep you safe. And I know for sure that both these festivals, in talking to the organizers, have had security plans and things in place. So it is important that you realize that we have to keep our way of life. It's important to go out and enjoy the community and enjoy our traditions that are out there. So,
Rick, you hit it right on the head. You know,
Thank you.
people should feel comfortable going to all of these events because that's who we are.
right.
We're Americans. We enjoy these kinds of things, and to have anyone suggest that we shouldn't do it for whatever reason is not in the foreseeable future anyway. But I think it's important to understand that if you're in Providence, Scituate, wherever you are, there is adequate security to be able to handle what we know of right now, and we have a responsibility too.
Well, General, thank you for joining me today. It was really a pleasure to have you in, and good to see you.